Just a couple days ago, I changed the name of my YouTube channel, and I also changed the name of my Facebook page, my business page, I guess you'd say, on Facebook, or my non-personal page, I guess is the more the way I think about it. And I brought up, I call it Living Authentically with Pete. And I think it's because I really realized that it's time to just really be fully me. When we look at YouTube algorithms, they're always talking about finding your niche and, speaking to a specific audience, which I think is very important. But at the same time, we end up really like watering ourselves down. We end up like thinking more about the algorithms than we do thinking about what actually we want to put out there, what actually is helpful, because what's really helpful is not like this very generic, sort of manufactured like content or life. I think what people are really craving right now is to have like real life, actual stories and like, how do you live a successful life, in this day and age? There's so much of it. Some of our paradigms are going away. The church is really going away. A lot of our structures of jobs and careers are going away. The idea and concept of money is changing. So many things are changing. And I promise you, I feel like so many other things are going to be changing. And in my 61 years, it's the one thing that I've really discovered is consistent, is change. But I want to talk about the importance of being authentic and maybe really a little bit about what that is. But one thing I do know is that life requires you to be authentic. You can try to live an inauthentic life, but life is going to push you to be authentic the whole way. You're going to find that as you try to live someone else's dream or someone else's concept of who you are, or is some type of fake idea of who you are, you're going to have trouble the entire time. Even if you have, say, money and career success, you're never going to be truly happy. You're never going to have that true sense of joy and fulfillment in yourself. And I'm here to tell you that is something that I have attained without necessarily attaining the career and the money success that I want. And yet I know that I have true joy and happiness in my heart because that I have attained that authentic true center, and that the rest is simply about me understanding that I have value and worth enough to have the wealth and the success, the career success that I wish to have. But the first step is to become authentic. Becoming authentic is trust. Scary as you know what. It is super scary. I actually spent my first 44 years of life being completely inauthentic. I was trying to be something that I wasn't. And I was literally at the door of my garage with 4 bottles of pills and a bottle of Southern Comfort, about to end it, because I couldn't handle the idea, or I didn't think I had the allowance or the ability to be authentic. It took me losing absolutely, when I say absolutely everything, I had lost absolutely everything but my life. And I was about to take that to get the idea that I had nothing left but my own raw, authentic self, whom I didn't even know. I didn't know who that Pete was. So perhaps you're at that place right now where, maybe you even have like the outward signs of success and people think that you should be happy. And you're just really in this space where you're just feeling like there's so much missing. It's about finding that authentic space in you. It's about finding who that is. What does that look like? What does it look like living authentically? And it's absolutely worth losing everything to find that authenticity. And the interesting thing is that as you learn to live authentically, you give other people the permission to live authentically as well. So if you can't do it for yourself, and I'm speaking as a caretaker, find someone that you can do it for, because so oftentimes as a caretaker, we can't do things for ourselves. But if we have somebody outside of ourselves that we care for or think that we're in charge of, we can find the energy to do it for them. So find a way to live authentically if you can for yourself. And if you can't, then someone else. Because I believe it's the true key to successful living. And when I term or define successful living, I'm talking about true joy and happiness and really connection with yourself. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have all the money in the world or, all the outward, whatever success as man defines it, if you're not truly happy with it. I mean, it's just stuff. That's all it is. It's just digits in a bank account. It's just, monikers that have been assigned by some human. And how does that spell true success in life? It might make things possibly easier or more socially acceptable, perhaps. But at the end of the day, that's not where true happiness and joy comes from. And I know that for a fact because I have been materially successful and was miserable, absolutely miserable, because I was not living in an authentic space. I was not truly being myself. And maybe I'll talk about that later on. But it's also interesting is that even if you've done something that you think should be shameful or that you think people will shun you for, if you're authentic about it, if you're true about it, if you just, if you don't try to hide it, don't try to gloss it over, but just show it as it truly is, true and authentic, people are so accepting of it, and this, I mean, maybe I'll talk about it later on. Keep watching this channel and I'm sure I'll talk about it at some point. I have certainly before. But it's not about my story right now. I want to really talk about and get into, because that's a whole other thing. What I really want to express is that it's so important to live authentically at whatever age you are. And it's absolutely worth losing everything you have in order to do that. And the reason I say that is because the people that are important to you, the people you care about, they deserve to know who you really are. They deserve to see you living authentically, because if you're not living authentically, believe it or not, they probably are not as well. And do you want that for them? We have to lead by example. You have to show them what that looks like. And it's going to be hard for people, because people create their own personal egos around how they see you. And oftentimes when you change, it disturbs their ego about themselves, and they'll fight for the death for their ego to be right. So yeah, there is that. As you change and become more authentic, there's definitely people that may not be happy about it. But at the end of the day, they're not living your life. They don't pay your bills. They don't get up in the morning and do your job and take care of your business. Perhaps they're not the ones that wake up in a cold shudder in the middle of the night all by themselves, having to deal with the concepts of, who am I? Why am I doing this? What is happening? How do I live a true life? How do I find happiness? How do I find joy? They're not the ones that handle perhaps the despair and the depression that you might be experiencing. So it really is, it behooves you to not be concerned about them, because their happiness and their joy, that's a them thing. It's about you and taking care of yourself. And in my experience, 61 years old, I can tell you that you have no chance of being joyful and happy and successful in life, truly successful, unless you learn authenticity, unless you learn who you really are, unless you find a way in this world to express yourself and be who you truly are. And I mean, to be honest, there's many ways that I don't fully express myself, because we live in times when it's not necessarily safe to always be different. But I live as authentically as I possibly can. I'm constantly pushing myself. How can I be more authentic in the moment? Because I know there's so many people who live authentically that give me the courage to be authentic by how they are authentic, them showing up in life and being their true self. That gives me energy and strength, and the idea that, maybe I can do it for myself too. So I have people that I look at and watch and see them living authentically, and that gives me strength and power, and the idea that perhaps that's available to me also. So there are people that watch you. There are people that are seeing you, and they're seeing you being authentic. or however you are, and they're thinking that is they're putting that as a definition of what life is about. And that can be a good thing or not necessarily a good thing, depending on the level of authenticity that you're living at. And it's it's almost like this point that you never quite get to. You'll never get to full authenticity, but it's the idea of always striving to move towards it, because we're always actually changing in every moment. So we can never truly be our own authentic self. And that's just part of the magic of life and what keeps life going. Pardon me, this cold air is giving me a cough tonight. So anyway, I just want to say that you can find authenticity at any age, and it's super important. And even if you don't go, or even if you don't strive to be authentic in yourself, life is always going to push for you to be it. It's always going to give you trouble until you are. So if you're having trouble in life, if you're finding that you're not satisfied, that you're not joyful, that you're not happy, ask yourself, how am I not showing up authentically? How am I not showing up fully? And how can I honor who I truly, truly am? And perhaps even discover who that is. Maybe you don't even know. How can I discover that more fully and then live that more fully and see if that helps? I have a big feeling it will. And I hope everyone has an amazing evening. Until later, love, peace, and release.